Okay, so there's a lot to unpack with what we know so far. First off, I'm kind of disappointed that Worldslayer isn't coming till June 30th, which means over 2 months, so honestly, it's kind of good because that means you have a lot of time to prepare, but then what I'm about to tell you is only really minor stuff, because at the end of the day, we all have to wait till it launches before we can actually start our true long-term grind. Any event, I'm on my Devastator now because I already know when I do this, I'm going to be starting my Devastator. A few tips I'm learning now. So basically stuff that we already know is happening. I do not think, as far as I can see, that that's the good news, is I don't think there's any nerfs that are happening as far as I can see. We already have some of the popular YouTubers with access to it playing it, and so far none of them have commented on noticing any nerfs to like their Pyro or Trickster at all, as I was being told. So that's kind of maybe good news. At least we might not have nerfs to deal with. What they are saying though, and this is kind of a good and bad thing at the same time to me, is oh my gosh, it just looks like there's going to be a whole other grind again. Now, some good things though that I'm learning. It looks like that, so they're adding more tiers up to tier 40, which is shocking to me they're going up that high. But what I'm just gathering from this is it's going to progress just like the Expedition tiers already did, where, you know, you beat a higher tier, you unlock the next tier, and then it, as they say, it increases your gear level, which tells me that just like the current system, you'll be able to level your current gear higher, so you won't have to necessarily swap out everything immediately. Just trying, or just hope that you find that God Wolf. However, they're doing something very similar to that, where it looks like how these tier 3 mods are gonna work is you cannot basically stick, or not tier 3 mods. It looks like they're adding a few new tier 3 mods though. But the big thing is that you'll be able to have a third mod on. Once again, good and bad news about that. It looks like, especially for my builds, which rely on a lot of just epic armor and not even any legendary sets on some of them, you will be able to get 3 mods on even like purple gear too for those kind of builds. And I think they're saying that, yeah, it can't even be a tier 3 mod that you get on like a purple set too. So that's good, and I assume just like with everything, if you get a purple one with a tier 3 mod on it, then you'd be able to slap on a second tier 3 mod on a purple one. Which for most builds, I mean, most of my builds, I don't even use tier 3 mods on all my slots, and nor do I want to, because most of my builds are designed around using like 4 or 5 tier 3 mods, and then like 5 tier 1s, and then maybe another tier 2. Tier 1s are all, as we know, really good. They're the class-specific ones. But yeah, honestly, that's bad news at the same time, because what it sounds like is that you're going to have to grind for freaking ever. And to be honest, the more I hear about it, the more I'm thinking, this sounds similar to other games I've played, like recently Anthem. Like when I played Anthem, it's like grinding for that absolute perfect armor piece that has like all 4 attributes that you're looking for. No one ever gets it. And when they do, it's because they've been playing forever, or they just are extraordinarily lucky. And I hate that system, by the way. It's a very stupid system. So I'm not a fan of that. I can't believe they're bringing that crap to the game. However, what I do know with some of those games is usually, in order to like beat the end game and like get really awesome builds too, you don't really need it. It's usually just a bonus. So I'm having my theory is that these tier 3, I keep calling tier 3, these third mod slots will help, and maybe some of us will probably get lucky occasionally, where maybe we'll get one perfect thing, like one armor that's perfect for our build that has all 3 mods we want. I'm sure we'll all get that occasionally for like one piece, but get it in all your pieces just seems like an utter pipe dream with the ridiculous amount of RNG that's involved with that, especially because they say, of course, you cannot customize it, it is locked. Whatever third mod slot that piece has, you can't change it, of course. And the amount of RNG that is involved with getting that third mod slot to be something perfect, and then have the other 2 mod slots, at least one of them, I guess, because I assume they'll still let you mod one of them like they currently do. So then having a second mod on it perfect too, and then have all 3 attributes on it perfect. Especially if you're hunting for purple. In fact, this is going to punish probably my builds the most, so it's really, really stupid. But like I said, the whole Ascension thing that I also say, it looks like similar to like Fallout 76's legendary perks when I played that game. And it's mainly easy, but just involves a little bit of grinding, or a lot of grinding, but it's a pretty straightforward system at least, and is not RNG based at least, so I'm not really upset over that. A lot of the new content I'm excited about, of course. But what's funny is, so they're not adding a new class. I never thought they'd do that, honestly. They're adding sub, and they're not, and people thought they're adding more skill trees. No, apparently, as I've seen through the videos, it's a sub tree. So it looks like you get to pick a smaller sub tree for each of the class, and I was looking at the Devastator, so I was able to see the Devastator, most of the points too. Looks like you can, so I actually kind of like it, because you can basically keep your exact same skill tree the way it is and your build the way it is, and then this second subclass basically is something that just adds to it. You just pick one path and you maybe get another like 10 points basically that are just focused on a different thing. I was already seeing the Devastator, and I already knew, like, if I keep the same dev build I had when this starts, I already know it's the top one I'm going for, the gun one, just because, well, I use guns, but I do use the statue set, and I rely on weapon leech a lot, even though my gun damage is terrible. But I noticed that one had a lot of just straight up damage mitigation things for any kinetic skill activation, and bonus damage for every kinetic skill activation, like that stuff. Like that matches my current dev build that you see me using here a lot. The whole legendary sets is my prediction, honestly, especially seeing my builds and how they relate to this. I'm thinking, especially with my dev build, I'm going to wake up and my dev build is still going to wreck, I'm thinking. And a sad thing, though, is I will still have to eventually get new gear with this whole... It looks like you cannot add a third mod. It looks like you can't add third mods, basically, to any of your current gear. So you will have to grind and hope that you get that apocalyptic stuff. Now, my recommendation, though, is that I think it's still wise to still figure out new builds in case they do make rebalance, is how they would say it, but really just nerfs. If they make changes like that, I would still say, while we're waiting for it to drop, you still just save some gear for either your current build, just to redo your build, or just a different build you came up with. I would recommend just having... the thing is, I would say it's good to actually play all 4 classes now, because when this drops, you'll want to have a large variety of builds and classes to choose from, so that you can tell very quickly which one is still OP to carry you through this. And to be honest, I'm thinking like my dev build right now. I already know I'm probably going to pick the dev, because based on what I'm hearing, I doubt the dev's going to get nerfed at all. And I also have been told that the whole weapon leech mechanic, the death chains healing you from that's not getting changed at all, which means that my current dev build, using that a lot when my golem's not active, is very good. So I think the smart thing would be to still reserve some armor, just get some green gear that has perfect, triple attributes you want, and then just save it so that when it drops, you can like upgrade that armor and find the right mods on it and still have a good build. But yeah, by the looks of it, it looks like you're going to have to trash it eventually. I just think it would be good to have that, just to have something that is good, that you can carry, to farm. Basically, you want to have a good build down to farm your future build, to farm these triple mod armor pieces, and to grind up your Ascension level and your Apocalypse tier level. The good news is I feel like the Ascension and Apocalypse tier level are pretty straightforward, and a lot of builds probably won't even change much. those are my few thoughts right now. I'm excited, but I still also hate some of the stuff as usual. There's just some crap I'm not gonna like. We'll see.